Hey guys, this is Rudy coming at you live from Palm Beach in Florida. It is Tuesday. It is September the 7th. Happy Memorial Day, belatedly, to all my American and Canadian friends. I'm sorry, Labor Day, not Memorial Day. Yesterday was September the 6th, Monday, and it was Labor Day in the United States and Canada. Maybe it was Labor Day somewhere else as well. I'm not too sure. You know, in my past countries that I lived in, Labor Day was usually May Day. It was usually on May the 1st. Anyway, in the United States and Canada, for sure, it is September, the first Monday in September, which was yesterday, September the 6th. So I hope for the people who are in North America, you had a great long weekend. And I thought I'd quickly put together a video to talk about some of the things that happened last week. I'm going to touch on some of the uranium stocks, the so-called uranium squeeze. I'm going to talk a little bit about the rebalancing that I did because I want to share some information with you about that one. And I'm going to touch on a couple of points from the channel. So on our YouTube channel, a couple of interesting things. So Mike Smith said, thanks for the info on uranium stocks. I bought positions in several of them after hearing you talk about them. Up until that point, I'd never considered uranium stocks. I have been trimming down a little bit lately. Now, that's not a bad idea, Mike, because it's a great idea to take a little bit of profit as you can. And he says, been trimming down my stocks lately at about 40% cash, just until these new COVID-19 problems pass. Will these new COVID-19 problems ever pass? What the heck is going on there? I don't know, man. You know, like at this stage, I'm just going to say I have no comment. Then Mike continues and he says, one stock I've been adding to because the price has been falling is PERS, P-E-R-S, an oil trust. Don't know if you can recommend it. Well, I don't know if I can recommend it, Mike says, because I haven't been able to get much information on it lately, but you guys may want to take a look at it because we just got a huge dividend. It actually paid out more in the last dividend than the market value of the stock. Well, that's kind of a scary thought, Mike, but all strength to you, man. Congratulations. So well done on getting that dividend. Let's take a quick look at PERS. I'd never heard of PERS before, so thanks for highlighting this one for me, Mike. Sandridge Permian Trust, up 12% today. So Mike, if you're long in this one, not only did you get a big fat dividend, but you're also up another 12% today. It's kind of neat. Good for you. I'm happy for you. Hope you make tons of money. But look at this dividend. The dividend yield, 32 cents. Guys, this is a 32-cent dividend on a 20-cent stock. That's not sustainable. Just straight off the bat, I mean, there's something wrong there, right? So the dividend yield, 180%. Ex-dividend, August 30. So if you were long in PERS, P-E-R-S, then you receive that dividend on, when's it paying out? Earnings date of November. But they traded ex-dividend August 30th. So, hey, Mike, good luck with this one, man. I'm not sure if I would necessarily chase it, but this is an interesting company. Very small, market cap only $10 million, but it's actually got a PE ratio of 1.37. So at that PE, it is super cheap. I don't know anything about it. I'm not going to recommend it. Anybody knows anything about Sandridge Permian Trust and you can help educate us, please do so. So let's take a look at just another comment here on the channel. Blake Tan said, Rudy, BP PLC just bought 346,206 shares of OXY based on the 13 filing from Whale Wisdom. What do you think about that? I hope to get your views on it. Well, Blake, I wasn't aware of that, and probably one of the reasons why I didn't catch my attention is because arguably 346,000 shares of stock trading at about $25 is not a huge amount of money for an investor like BP PLC. But let's take a look at that one in a little bit more detail and just see what's going on here. So this is the actual holdings of BP PLC. And as you can see from this table over here, BP PLC actually owns many, many different energy stocks. Large positions for them include Exxon, where they have about $20 million invested. So arguably, that's a good chunk of money. There are quite a few big ones as well, PBR, CVX, etc. Quite large amounts of money. And then over here is Oxy, which was your reference. They now own 378,259 shares of Oxy, valued at almost $12 million. So, you know, in the greater scheme of things, it's a relatively small holding, but at the same time, obviously, it is quite a chunk of money. But as I said, BP PLC actually owns many different energy stocks, so it's not too unusual for them to buy the stock of another company. Talking about that, let's quickly take a look at some of the larger institutional holders on Oxy. Right now, Dodge & Cox actually occupies the number 1 and 3 spot. They're still sort of by far the largest institutional investor in Occidental Petroleum, especially if I lump these two together, right? So the one is Dodge & Cox and the other one is Dodge & Cox's stock fund. But you can see the value here, Dodge & Cox, 3.6 billion, and then another 2.2 billion from their stock fund. So if we add these two together, you already have 5.8 billion, so creeping up to $6 billion. Don't be surprised if you see Dodge & Cox do a little bit of rebalancing and take some profit along the way. Right now, I think they will probably just sort of stay put and hold, but we don't know. Who are the other top guys? Vanguard has a position of almost $3 billion in Occidental Petroleum. BlackRock, almost $2 billion. State Street, almost $2 billion. And you can see Carl Icahn is now down to about $1.5 billion. I think his shareholding is about 66, oh, it's right here, sorry. 49,125,000 shares. Of course, he also owns millions of warrants. So there's more to it than what just meets the eye. Anyway, those are sort of the top 5. So Carl Icahn kind of sneaks in at number 5 if I add Dodge and Dodge together. If you view them separately, Carl Icahn at this moment in time does not make it into the top 5. The other thing I wanted to share with you guys briefly, 2 things really. Firstly, let's talk just a little bit about uranium and the so-called uranium squeeze. I did previously mention in my videos that I'm not a meme stock guy. I'm a kind of a traditional fundamentalist. So my life is quite boring. I don't actively trade too much, but I do some rebalancing from time to time. I'm going to show you that in a minute. But here's a guy you can follow on Twitter. His handle is Quakes99. His name is John Quakes. He has really good information. He says, uranium squeeze is not a short squeeze. It is the massive supply deficit and accelerated decline in production that is creating a squeeze as nuclear utilities are facing rising demand for uranium in an accelerated transition to a carbon-free energy. This is a fundamentals squeeze, says John, as opposed to a typical sort of meme stock squeeze or whatever the case might be. Many comments on this one. I can't imagine too many people are short on uranium. Let's take a quick look at one of my accounts. This is one of my accounts where I actually do a little bit of trading, but mostly for the purposes of rebalancing, even though I do also put a little bit of cash aside in this particular account for some speculation, which includes uranium. So let's kind of take a quick look here, because last week I did a few trades, and I'm going to tell you what those trades are, more or less, to give you an idea of where I'm at. AB is AllianceBernstein. It's a financial stock, and as you can see, I'm up 50% or over 50%. This was after I did a bit of a rebalancing trade. I sold a little bit of AllianceBernstein. You can see my average cost per share is $33, and the share price today is 51. Last week it was trading a little bit higher. I sold a little bit of AllianceBernstein just to pull it back down a little bit, because it was occupying a spot that was larger than sort of the basket of stocks in this particular portfolio. By now, most of you will know ET as energy transfer. This thing over here, GVXXF, is Goviex. I'm going to come back to Goviex uranium in just a second. PALAF at the bottom here is Paladin, which is the uranium miner out of Australia, and UUUUU is Energy Fuels. The reason why I highlighted these 3 is because, as I just said, I sold a little bit of AllianceBernstein. I also sold a little bit of Occidental Petroleum. And the reason why I sold a bit of Occidental is because Occidental, even at $26 a share, multiplied by the thousands of shares that I own, was a substantial chunk of my portfolio, borderline perhaps a concentrated position. What I did with Occidental is I sold all my most expensive shares. So when you do a transaction, you obviously have choices. You can say first in, first out, last in, first out, and all that kind of stuff. I said sell my most expensive stock first. I dropped a couple of thousand of them. Some of them were over $60 a share cost basis. And because I sold all my expensive stocks, my cost basis on Occidental is now $11.03. So at $25 or whatever it's currently trading at, I am sitting on a very nice gain. The other one that I highlighted here is IEP, which is Icahn. This particular stock I actually purchased, so I added a little bit more for two reasons. One, it's very cheap. Actually, three reasons. One, it's very cheap. Two, it pays a huge dividend of 14.76 currently. That's what it's yielding at the current stock price. And number three, because I managed to take some profit on AllianceBernstein, I was able to offset that with a loss on Occidental and then buy a little bit of Icahn. So doing the buy obviously is not a tax event, nothing happened, but I did sell AllianceBernstein and I did sell Occidental. I sold AllianceBernstein for a profit and I sold some of those expensive Occidental stock shares at a loss. The one wipes out the other. So effectively from a tax point of view, it's a wash, and people generally refer to that as tax harvesting. So this is a rebalancing and tax harvesting transaction that I'm explaining to you here. And then I added to Icahn because I had less Icahn than some of the other larger ones. And of course, Icahn, as I said, is cheap, pays a huge dividend. So let's talk just a little bit very briefly about these uranium stocks or sort of clean energy or new energy stocks. So on Goviex, you can see I have a decent gain of around 56%. So what I did on Goviex is probably highly speculative. It's not something I would suggest or recommend for anyone to necessarily buy into. If you do trade in these particular stocks, do so with being extraordinarily cautious, and make sure you do your own diligence before you buy or sell anything at all. But what I did was I sold enough Goviex to take back all my money, which means whatever I'm left with in terms of my position on Goviex is the house's money, and therefore whether it goes up or down, sideways or nowhere, it's free money. I did the same with Paladin, except here I'm in a very, very good position because it's already more than a two-bagger for me. So I was able to sell or enter a trade anyway. I'm not sure if it executed because it's over the counter, but I enter a trade anyway to sell some of my Paladin stock, which effectively gives me back all my money, and then I can leave the rest of it to just run and do whatever it does because it's the house's money. And then I did something similar with UUUU, which is energy fuels, effectively taking back my money, therefore mitigating my risk 100%. My risk literally is zero. And then whatever remains, as I said, is the house's money. So if you look at this portfolio collectively, it has a foundation, which is AllianceBernstein, Icahn, and Occidental Petroleum, and Energy Transfer, which is a stock that I bought at an average cost basis of just under $8. It's currently trading about $9.55. It pays a nice dividend. I expect to hold this one for quite a while. So what you have effectively are sort of four foundational stocks, if I include Energy Transfer in this particular account, and three highly speculative stocks. And on the three highly speculative stocks, I have taken back all my money that was invested in those particular three stocks, and left only the house's portion of the cash for the stock to do whatever it does. Because of the fact that Goviex at around 20-something cents, almost 30 cents now, and Paladin respectively, which is at about, also way under $1. Because they are so cheap, I now own tens of thousands of shares of these particular stocks, which effectively cost me nothing because I've cashed out the money that I put in. So I hope this helps you in some way or another, because it's not meant to be instructional from the point of view of telling you what to buy, what to sell, how to trade, whatever the case might be. I'm just telling you what I did. At my age, I need to mitigate risk. I like to have some dividend-paying stocks as a sort of a gentle or a small hedge against market volatility. I still select stocks that are hopelessly undervalued and buy into those positions. And effectively, I look at my account on an ongoing basis in order to make sure that I remember those good old rules from Uncle Warren Buffett. Rule number one is don't lose money. Rule number two is never forget rule number one. So guys, on that note, this is Mr. Oxy signing off, saying thanks for watching. And let me know in the comments what you think about some of my trades and some of the positions that we chatted about in this particular video. Take care. Bye-bye.